Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase video here on the channel. Each week, I spotlight 6 of the many indie games we play, and if you'd like to submit a game for a future stream and video, please get in touch. Everything shown is either going to be a demo, a dev submitted game, or one of my many backlog titles I like to go through. And we are beginning this week with the game Aveliana. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly. This is a game that it's trying to combine stealth with action style design. The footage that you're seeing is taken from the Kickstarter demo, and I know that the game has been successfully kickstarted since we played this, and what you see may not match the current version of it. So the game boasts a combination of stealth and action gameplay as well as platforming, which I don't believe we had a chance to check out in this demo. But we are exploring this land, trying to figure out the many secrets. So how this works is that the enemies themselves are set up in stealth style, so you can see their vision cones there. You can attack enemies from behind to kill them, but if you get detected, you're kind of forced into a little arena fight to deal with all the enemies that you've alerted. So the game itself has a decent look to it. From what we played, it does seem like I'm still not sure how it's all going to fit together from a core gameplay loop perspective. It showed off a boss fight, but the game or the demo ended right before you had a chance to fight it. So there's definitely some interesting aspects here, but at least from what we played, and I don't know if the demo that is available on Steam is any different from the Kickstarter one, but I am curious to see where this one does end up, and maybe we'll give the Steam demo another run at some point. For our next game, we have Glitch's Trip. This is one that we got a key for, and this is a 2D platformer with kind of our main twist is being able to glitch or become intangible by a push of a button. You can see the meter in the upper right that controls how much you can do at any one time. While you're intangible, your character can, not be shot at and can interact with certain things that will affect the world. So the game has different difficulty levels to it, but my big problem with this game was from a control standpoint. It felt a little bit on the awkward side to play. You're going to be both moving, jumping, doing all your platforming, as well as twin stick shooting. And part of the challenge that this game has is that you're going to do a lot of wall jumps and things along those lines. And I had this case where it was not registering the wall jump, or I tried to jump it, but instead of giving me the full jump, it was only a short hop. Now, keep in mind, this could also be dead zone issues with my controller, but I did see some of the reviews and they also had complaints about some of the detection when it came to the platforming. Other than that, this is your, kind of standard obstacle heavy platforming. So if you're a fan of that, I would say give this one a check. But if you found games like, The End Is Nigh, Super Meat Boy, and I'm sure other ones I'm forgetting at the moment, too annoying or just not the kind of platforming you're into, then this game may not be for you. Up now we have Psychocat the Door, and this is the sequel to Psychocat the Answer, which I am going to guess most of you watching this probably didn't play. So this is an endless, or kind of a runner slash drug trip, I guess you could say, of a game, where you play as this cat who needs to, find the door. What's the door? We really don't know. But standing in your way is going to be a variety of obstacles and challenges. So the game itself, as you can tell from this footage, this is obstacle focus. Also, it could also be considered eye strain focus as well with how it looks. And it's one of those games that you're going to know very quickly whether or not you're going to play this or you're going to turn it off. And for me, I'm just not a fan of this kind of style of game. One of the things that always gets on my nerves is when you have kind of the full 360 degree tunnel here, And as you're going around the tube, left sometimes doesn't mean left. It could mean going to the right if you're on the ceiling. Not only that, but when you hold down the button, it kind of locks you in that direction until you let go. So you're going to have to do a lot of kind of mental calculations and adjustments based on where your cat is. And the visual style, unfortunately, it does become very hard and grating on the eyes. And for me, this is one of those games after about, I think it was like 10 minutes of play, I just couldn't play it anymore. So, if you're looking for something to, well, I guess trip out to, then maybe this game will be for you. But if you don't like this kind of turbo tunnel style gameplay, then definitely keep away from Psychocat. With that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have 3 more games to look at for this week's Spotlight. And as always, if you're interested in my books on design, these are the current ones available. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. Up now, we have Defentron. This is a kind of retro throwback tower defense. You're not hearing any music because the music itself is incredibly loud, and there was no volume slider for the game when we played it on stream. So the concept of this one, well, as you can see, is your standard tower defense. Set up towers, kill enemies, get money, build more towers, keep them from your home base. And the game itself, again, falls in that very basic strategy. Because you only have so few spaces to put towers, and the limit of your choices, it means that these levels are more puzzle-like than, say, something like Gem Force. And because of that, it did get a little bit boring to play this one. It took a long time to also start unlocking new towers, and again, because of limited placements, you're going to spend a lot of time just watching, waiting for your money to come in, put down an upgrade, and then get back to watching again. And if you're a tower defense fan, nothing in Defentron you haven't seen probably countless times at this point. So, unfortunately, this one I think I would have to put in the pass column. If you're looking for yet another tower defense game to kill some time, maybe you can enjoy this one. But if you're hoping for something new or original with the genre, Defentron doesn't do that. Now up, we have Little Martian. For this one, the footage that you're seeing is taken from, I believe this was an itch.io demo. Since we played this one on stream, there is now an official Steam page and it will be coming to the platform. So, what we have here is a survival style game with this kind of like 8-bit or very retro aesthetic. We have crash landed on a mysterious planet, our ship has been destroyed, oxygen is not included, and we're going to do what we always do in these situations. Gather resources, build lots of structures and tools, and do our best to survive, thrive, and get off the planet. So the game space itself, I believe this is procedurally generated. I'm not 100% sure, it's been a while since we played this one. But the general core gameplay loop should be familiar to anyone who has played a survival style game. You'll collect starting resources, which will let you build tools, use those tools to construct more things, and start improving your quality of life, and hopefully begin to take back the ground and build a healthy little settlement to then start exploring. The game does promise that there is an extending story to it involving what is going on with the planet, but in the early parts of it, it is fairly low stakes. Yes, you do have oxygen that is leaking out, but the game itself gives you plenty of opportunity to gather it, and you're not so much going to be starting out and then immediately dying. And for that, I do appreciate the game there. Now, as those of you who've watched know, I am not the survival kind of guy when it comes to games like this. So in terms of whether or not this is a good take on the genre, I'm not that guy to tell you that. But I did find it very charming to play. And if you're also one of those people who's on the fence about these kinds of games, I would say give this one a try. It does not appear to be on the largely difficult side, although I did have some issues with the UI, and especially with just the sheer number of things you're supposed to be gathering and constructing. And I think a lot of that just comes down to learning the game and getting kind of these elements internalized. So if you're looking for more of what I assume is going to be on the casual side of the whole survival style genre, give Little Martian a try. I'm curious to see where it will be at when it launches on Steam. For our final game of this week's Spotlight, this is For the Warp, or FTW, not to be confused with FTL. We got this as a press key last year, and the game is in early access, so what you see may not represent the current version of it. But this is a deck building style roguelike, with our focus being on exploring space as opposed to fantasy and elements like that. So the map itself is procedurally generated. Your job is to get from one sector or one end of the system to the other. Every step of your way, you'll find various points of interest, including events, shops, and of course, fighting. So while you are controlling spaceships in this game, you're not really going as far in terms of modifications, especially if you're looking at this game and thinking that this is FTL meets Slay the Spire. You'll get different cards which take in the form of new equipment, and you'll also find and can buy passives. You have your energy, that's the green kind of strips below your health, and you also have shields. And you'll need to keep your shields going in order to deal with any threats. So the game itself is going to be one of those titles where synergies and getting combinations is going to be the name of the game, as you'll start to have to fight more enemies, stronger fights, and you'll need better cards to have a chance. There is persistence in the form of unlocking new ships, and I do believe that there are new car unlocks, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. So from what we played, the big, I think, weakness of the game, at least in where it's at in early access, was in terms of difficulty. Because of how the cards were balanced, or not really balanced when we played it, it is one of those games where you're either going to steamroll over everything, or you are going to die horribly. Because card points are, or the cost of cards is kept relatively low, there is such a wide assortment that there's going to be plenty of 0 and 1 cost cards that are just going to be utterly useless compared to kind of the rarer and better versions. And of course, if you get access to those better versions, the game becomes a lot easier, as you can kill enemies faster, which means less damage on you, which means less worrying about having to repair. So it is very much that case of the rich getting richer, or kind of the polarizing positive feedback loop or downward spiral. But I do have to say, I do really like the concept of this game. I love the art and the general aesthetics of it. And while we haven't played this one in a while, just like with something like Banner of Ruin, I definitely want to check in with it and see where the game is at now. So if you're somebody who is completely sick and tired of deck building roguelikes, FTW is just not going to be it for you. But if you're like me and love to play these cards and restart runs when things go horribly wrong, then definitely keep an eye out on this one, or check it out while it's in early access. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this week's Spotlight. I'd like to thank all the games that have been shown. You'll find links to all of them down in the description. Do all the liking and subscribing. And if you'd like to submit a game for a future video and stream, please get in touch. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.